Uh, Folks, I am very bewildered. I am bewildered by the fact that the Christian show is still on air, even though it's basically game over. Because, Chris is in prison. I'm even bewildered that the prison warden or judges would even allow Chris to make phone calls. I mean, doesn't the prison staff members, judges or whoever know about Chris's internet infamy? I mean, if I was one of the staff members, I would definitely take Chris's internet/telephone access away from them. Because sadly for Chris, after everything that happened to them since mid to late 2000s, Chris, sadly, haven't learned much, so it seems. And every time Chris responds to random people on the internet, the show just goes on. And Chris doesn't seem to realize this, or care. So, what is this about this time? Well, Christian's prison phone calls has been leaked. But you know what? I have a philosophical question for you all. Please, today's viewers, I would like to hear your take on this in the comment section below. My philosophical question is, whose fault is all of this? Who's at fault for enabling and perpetuating the Christian show to go on? Is it the uploader's fault because they leaked Chris's prison phone call? I mean, the way I see this, it is people like them that perpetuates all of this. I mean, you would think that, like I said, now that Chris is in prison, the show would finally come to a close. I hoped. Or, the prison warden and the judges would just disconnect Chris's phone calls and letters. And then everybody would just eventually move on to something else, I assumed. Or am I part of the problem? Because I'm talking about Chris through this PodVid. And a few more actually. I mean, if the leakers never uploaded that prison phone call, then I wouldn't be talking about this right now. I mean, yeah, sure, I guess I am unintentionally contributing to the problem by simply talking about Chris. I mean, when you want something to stop or to go away, then you just have to ignore it or stop talking about it, I think. Or option number 3, is everyone part of the problem? Christian, the leakers, and the ones who are talking about this, including yours truly, I guess. But, philosophy aside, about the Christian prison phone call leaks, what is it about? Well, it's the same old with Chris. Unintelligible preaching. The way Chris is talking, I don't understand much of it, actually, but if I heard him correctly, it sounded to me like they're preaching the message of the dimensional merge again? Or something to that effect. Also, even though Chris is in prison, I just can't believe that they're still e-begging. If I heard Chris correctly, Chris also seemed to talk about their childhood past. I don't know, they talked about some teacher that allegedly wasn't so kind to them because of their autism. But yeah, Chris thinks that they're Jesus now, which, in my speculation, Chris could just be saying that as a defense mechanism to excuse their actions, because we all know that Jesus is a holy figure, and if you're touched by Jesus, no matter where it is, then it's gotta be a good thing, right? No, it isn't. It's not okay to be touched and violated like that. No, Chris is not Jesus. Chris is Chris, and no one else. By the way, I actually don't think that Chris has read through the Holy Bible from start to finish. I speculate that Chris may have only read through Genesis and a little bit of Exodus, and they may have listened to some of their preachers read a couple of segments for them. I think, maybe. I mean, Chris doesn't strike me as someone who is well read. But while we're on the topic, I like to give my personal opinion on Holy Scriptures. Now, in my personal opinion, when it comes to Holy Scriptures, like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and so, I don't think it's a good idea to read them in a literal sense. No, I think that's dangerous. I mean, doesn't Chris realize that the Holy Bible and all of the other Holy Scriptures were written by actual people, not by God or by any other spiritual beings? I mean, if the Holy Scriptures, like the Bible, was written by God or any other Holy Spirit, then how do you explain a handful of plot holes and errors? I mean, you can see this for yourselves, like when God explains to Adam and Eve that if they eat the forbidden fruit, then they will surely be no more. Adam and Eve understood what God said, but how would they know that? How would Adam and Eve even know about what it means to be no more when they don't even know what that is? I mean, aren't Adam and Eve supposed to be the perfect beings? Yeah? And what about the Quran? Well, I myself have never read that, but if you'd like to know how many mistakes there is in the Quran, then you can go to Google and YouTube and really look into it. A lot of Holy Scriptures, not just the Bible, have errors and plot holes. But what I'm really trying to say with all of this is that any kind of religious scriptures should not be taken seriously, and especially not in a scientific sense. No, the authors behind these scriptures weren't even scientists. Science came hundreds and hundreds of years later, if I understand this correctly. Now, what all of this has to do with Chris is, if Chris is truly reading the Holy Bible in a literal sense, then they're in danger. And if Chris is not deliberately looking for trouble, then trouble will eventually come to Chris. And I think that's how it's going to end up for Chris in the not so distant future. Now, in one of my previous PodVids, I said that now that Chris is in jail, I was hoping that the, jurisdiction, judges, wardens, or whoever would assign some sort of social coaching program for Chris, so that they, their actions and speech pattern would be more socially acceptable. But it doesn't seem to be the case here. I mean, if Chris is not going to learn on their own how to be more social, then somebody is going to have to teach it for them. Because from the way I see this, Chris strikes me as someone who can't learn stuff on their own. It seems to me like Chris can only learn something new when they're being told to or taught. Maybe it's because of Chris's autism, or maybe it isn't. Who knows? But anyways, to conclude this episode, I think I'll end it by voicing my concern for both Chris and their chasers. I think both parties involved are equally guilty, and I think the wardens too are at fault. They didn't take Chris's phone access away from them. Look, I'm really sorry to say this, but when it comes to Chris, I think it would be a best idea to keep an extra eye on them, even in prison. Because that leaked phone call is proof right there that Chris is still reachable. And if Chris is still reachable, then the Christian show will go on. Now, that's all I wanted to say for today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. You'll hear from me again, okay? Take care of yourselves now. Bye-bye for now.